believe. Yeah, here we go. So just going with sponsors right now. Good morning and welcome to the Momma Show.
She said sponsors are the reason we're here, so
here we go.
You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Hi, I'm Gail Rubenstein, the founder and CEO of a company called Retail Resilient, social selling for the car industry. And we help auto dealers, auto agencies, and vendors in the auto industry sell more cars, service more cars, and make more money using our social selling strategy. That includes TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and anything else you can think of. So if you're looking to invest thousands and make millions, we're definitely the social selling company for you. Like I said, who said you can't teach an old dog new tricks?
If you run a service drive, you know these days first impressions matter. But when your advisors are tied up with inbound phone calls, they tend to neglect their other, more important duties. And did you know 75% of all service calls are frequently asked questions and routine requests? Still, the average dealer misses up to 30% of inbound calls, adding up to a ton of missed service opportunity and increased customer churn. 68% of callers actually go elsewhere if they can't get through, which means you could be losing $60,000 to $70,000 every month in service revenue simply from missing calls. So who will pick up? Introducing Brooke.
Hi there.
Your best service scheduling assistant. Brooke is the first intelligent digital voice assistant to answer, handle, and appoint all of your inbound service calls. Hiring Brooke means absolutely no call goes unanswered, boosting your customer satisfaction and reducing your overhead costs. And talking to Brooke is like talking to a friend with human-level understanding in a friendly conversational voice. Her conversational intelligence is built on millions of actual service industry conversations, making her the easiest onboard you'll ever have. She can handle any volume of calls and follows your policies every step of the way, 24/7. That means even when the lights are off, Brooke is always on.
And I can do it without missing a beat.
You really do check all the boxes. Book with Brooke today. Visit Brooke.ai or call 866-942-1236. Finally, the perfect match.
See that light above the bathroom door over there? That's a big time saver for our technicians and other recon staff. The light goes on when the bathroom is occupied. Now techs keep working until the light goes out. Then they know for sure the room is empty. And when they're busy there, they're also catching up on the news.
And
not bad news, but news they need for the job. I post these where they can't be missed. Too often, the search for the right product brings valuable time. This inexpensive detailer's cart organizes supplies. Now techs lay their hands on what they need without delay. We got these time savers from Rapid Recon, the reconditioning software company that's always defining better reconditioning solutions for dealerships like yours. When the goal is to get cars through recon in 72 hours or less, every step, every minute, every better decision made helps towards that goal. For more recon efficiency ideas like these, talk to the recon experts at rapidrecon.com.
All right. So good morning and welcome. The slide deck this morning is a little bit different just because the show is a little bit different than our normal shows. So to start the show off, Jeff, maybe you can talk a little bit about this article, which the link's on the bottom, and I'll put it in the chat as well. And I did.
Right here, all set to come up in just a second. I was searching around for some information about the topic, and I came up with this blog post about women in the industry, the automotive industry, and performance and everything else. And it's quite interesting. And our guests here certainly know this one way better than I do. But the statistics are quite interesting. This is a great read, and definitely something that's worth taking a very good look at.
And just to cite a few examples, this is just a few metrics from the article. So talking about USA Today, American market by manufacturer, gender pay gap by manufacturer, and then women employment in automotive industry by seniority level. These are all pretty current metrics. And we were talking earlier about Indy W, which is a new women's series, which I believe is Miami this week. I think they were doing some racing, but that's just a picture from some of the racers from the Women's Racing League.
And actually, there's a little blog here, not a blog, but a video, which I just posted a link to about the race. And which is very interesting because the winner of this race is actually a very serious Formula car racing. It's called Formula W, as Ian just said. Unfortunately, there's no ladies racing in Formula One yet, but this is a step forward. And the race in Miami was a support race for the Formula One. And interestingly enough, I read somewhere that the winner of the race, the owner of the car, was oh my gosh, Caitlyn Jenner. And so that's quite interesting that it's starting to become a big deal. And I think you'll see that jump in prominence now that it's hitting the States. And, because anything in Europe, there's hundreds of series in Europe that nobody over in North America knows about. So
try to pick a few books. There's lots. There were some really interesting books that I was unaware of, but driven by Rosemary Smith, Pioneer Women for Motorsport. Eddie Jordan, Formula One legend, I think is a writer. Ladies, Start Your Engines, Women Writers on Cars and the Road, edited by Eleanor Nayland, I believe. And then, of course, Kathy Droz is one of our guests today. That's her book, one of her books, I guess, The Woman's Guide to Buying a Car, with her signature red shoes that we see behind her there. Thanks for coming on. And then, Jeff, go with our disclaimer.
Well, our disclaimer, of course, is that the viewpoints and the statements made today are those of our guests and not necessarily the Auto Hub Show or Jeff Polery and Nethercott. And we do apologize if anybody does say anything, but we do try to make sure that they keep it polite.
And the show topic today is the Motor Momma Show. So let's get into it, Jeff. 1 second. Moving over. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, everybody. Ladies, thank you for joining us. It's a great show, an incredible topic. And not just because it's the thing, but it really is. And I mean, we have some great people on here that certainly understand this. First of all, we have Becky Chernick of Chernick Consulting in Oak Ridge, North Carolina. Becky, please introduce yourself and tell us a bit more.
Well, thank you for the introduction. I appreciate going first, Kate. So, I've been in the automotive industry my entire life. You could say my dad was a car dealer, so okay. So I grew up in the car business and earned my wings through my dad. He ran a Cadillac and Pontiac store and then later went on to be a dealer in Havertide, Maryland. I left though and went back to school, and because I'm from Maryland, Baltimore, went back to school and then realized Towson State, and then realized about a year, 2 years into it, I really wanted to make a buck or two. And so I decided to knock on Outbacker, Lincoln and Mercury's store in Baltimore, Maryland. And I say, hey guys, hire me to sell cars. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Back then, it wasn't something that was really accepted at that time, that females could sell cars and be successful doing it. In fact, my father frowned on it. He did not believe and didn't want me to have anything to do with me in the car business. In fact, he wanted me to be a TV reporter. Go figure. He loved Barbara Walters. But anyway, so I I ended up proving my dad wrong, and I decided this is where I'm going. This is where I can make a greater impact in my career. And frankly, yeah, you meet some resistance along the way, and some people don't feel as if that you can make it happen. But I certainly proved that I had the car gene in my blood, and I didn't take freaking no for an answer from anybody. I'll tell you right now, here's the thing. A lot of times people tell you all kinds of stuff that you can't do this or that or the other. And the more they tell me this is when I drive it home even more. It's like, tell me I can't do something, I'm going to show you I can. So later I went to a truck dealership, same thing. Women can't sell trucks. I wanted to sell trucks because there was more profit in selling trucks at the time. There was no Maroney sticker at the time. So I'm really updating myself here, okay? But anyway, so this dealer ends up putting me into F&I, and I'm going to tell you right now, I died and went to heaven. I knew F&I was made for me and me for them. I got married to F&I, and I took it by storm. I was so happy about the opportunity to do this. And so later become a director of finance. And boy, you think I didn't have a head this big. I had an ego like there was no tomorrow. I was it. But then I get hired by a company called JM&A, Jim Moran and Associates, and they have a tendency to show you may not know as much as you think you know. So you're in dealerships all over the country as a specialist, and it's not, it's just, you're green pea all over again. So, but it was a great experience. And then it moved me into a different level, and I had a chance to really kind of see doing what, where, and my career in automotive retail took off, and I founded my own company, Turning Consulting, after being in the AutoNation mega stores. And again, not looking back. So thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's very interesting. You said women can sell cars. Some of the most powerful salespeople I've ever had were lady salespeople. And it's just like in the video, women can't sell trucks, women can't drive trucks, and women can't drive
performance trucks.
Pickup trucks. It's easier to show them. So next we have joining us Erica Bruno Martin, Director of Business Development and Constellation and Car Girl at Heart from Saco, Maine, coming to us from New York City. Please say hi, briefly tell us about yourself.
Hey everybody. So thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Ian. First off, so excited to be here. So I also grew up in the automotive industry. My grandfather at one point in time had 17 different franchises around Mass and Rhode Island. I would always go to the dealerships with him. And one day I asked him, I said, Papa, can I get a My Little Pony? And he goes, yeah, but you got to earn it. And I said, great, what do I have to do? He goes, you're going to clean my office. And I was like, okay. So I cleaned his office, I scrubbed it, got $5. And I was like, wait, hold on. I did something. I got money for it, and now I can go get what I want. And he was like, yeah, that's how it works. And I'm like, all right, sign me up. What else do I have to clean? What else do I have to do? And I was hooked ever since. I've done everything in a dealership, from washing cars to selling cars, including servicing parts, PDC, accounting, office work. Went off to college. And of course, exactly like Becky, my family was like, no, you don't want to be in this industry. It's not good for women. And I was like, well, I'm going to go do what I want to do. And I will still probably go into it, with or without you. And so, which might I add this little caveat, my mom was actually the 6th female Toyota dealer principal in the nation. So, definitely had some big shoes there. And I said, well, you know what, Mom, I respectfully disagree. I'm going to go make this industry better. And so I applied for Toyota's management training program, got into it, and at 21 moved to LA by myself. And I was with Toyota for about 6 years. And then I moved to Chicago with them. And then I had a moment where I was like, I think I need to get back home, had some family stuff going on. And I was able to move to Nissan, where I was a district sales manager over parts of New England. Loved it, was doing great. And then had this little tech company at the time come and approach me and said, hey, we love your background. We think you'd be great. And I was like, I've never heard of you guys. Like, why would I want to go join a tech company? And they were like, we predict who's ready to buy a car, when they're ready to buy a car, and why. And I was like, ooh, now you got me. So I was with Automotive Mastermind for almost 4 years. Pandemic happened. And then I ended up at Volvo. I was the market manager for Volvo for about a year. And now I've been at Constellation for about 4 months. I absolutely love it. We are a marketing technology company. And our biggest area that we work with, because we work with a bunch of different industries, is automotive. So I was brought in because of my automotive background to help grow that vertical even further. So I'm just passionate about helping women advance in really mentoring women in the automotive industry, because we need more of us. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That's terrific. Wow, I'm like going, whoa, what resumes we have here. Speaking of resumes, we have Pamela Pearson, who's the Director of Operations for Centez Auto Group, the member of honor of the Kelowna Chamber of Commerce, etc. in Penticton, British Columbia, Canada, the Phoenix of the North. Pam, please say hello and tell us a bit about yourself.
Good morning, everyone. Just to clarify, we previously had dealerships in Penticton that we have divested at this point. So we're mostly in Kelowna, but also in Vernon, BC. And unlike these other lovely ladies, I did not grow up in automotive, although I had brothers who liked working on cars and things like that. I went to school to be a teacher and moved to Kelowna from a tiny town in the Kootenays called Glade, and decided that the plan was to move back to the Kootenays. But once I moved to Kelowna, I decided that this is where I wanted to stay. But after a year of teaching, I realized that that really was not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. But after you go to school for all of these years and you've kind of like planned all the way through your childhood that that's what you're going to do with your life, you don't really have a backup plan. And anyway, somebody in my life said to me, like, you should be a business manager. I had no idea what that meant. But I'm like, what else am I going to do? So I went and I applied to be a business manager. I'm like 22 years old or something. And I'm sure the dealerships are like laughing at me as I'm walking out the door, like, she has no idea. You wouldn't get hired off the street to be a business manager. So thankfully, Kelowna Mercedes-Benz decided to take a chance on me, and I worked in sales for about 6 weeks, sold 12 cars, and realized that also was not for me. There wasn't enough action. It was probably because I had just started, so you don't have a whole portfolio of customers that are coming in to see you, but I just knew that wasn't right either. And so feeling pretty down on myself because I just quit teaching because that wasn't for me, and now I'm quitting sales because that wasn't for me. The owner of the company basically said, I think you should give it a longer shot than 6 weeks, but if you really have decided that this isn't it, then we've actually just purchased 2 stores in Penticton, and we need to bring them under our Centez umbrella, which we didn't even really know what that meant at the time, because being an auto group was fairly new at the time. So I went down and I didn't have these dreams of, being in the car industry or anything like that, but I just have always been the hardest worker in the room. Whatever needs to happen, I am there for it. And, give me things that I have no idea how to do. I don't know if any of you guys have tried to deal with co-op advertising through the manufacturers. It's not always the most straightforward thing to do. There's like a stack of papers that I had to try to go through and figure out. And just over time, I just said yes to everything. Sure, no problem. Sure, no problem. Then you get to the point where you can't do it all because you have said yes to too many things. And I just saw that the industry needed to be better, and that there's a lot of bad kind of like stigma attached. And I just knew that the company that I was working for didn't have those like limits for women, or the old boys club, or the just super unprofessional kind of atmosphere. That just wasn't how this company ran. And so it really allowed me to pour my heart and soul into just making this the best possible place to work that it could be. And so I now have a team of people. We're the operations team, so we deal with everything from HR to facility maintenance, IT, events, all sorts of things. And our our goal really is just to be different, be better, and make it a great place to work. And so my team we have 6 right now, ladies on my operations team, and not a single one of them thought that they would ever find themselves in automotive. And I find it so exciting that here they are. I'm celebrating my 14th year this month, and I'm excited to bring them along with me. And so we're taking the opportunity to go out into the schools and trades programs and all sorts of things to like shout from the mountaintops what a great career automotive is, men and ladies alike. It was International Women's Day, February 5th, I think it was, and our Lexus dealership was nearly at equal. We had, I was very proud to take a picture with, half the people in the showroom were ladies, ranging from detail to the shop, accounting, finance, like everything. So anyway, just really proud to be a part of this industry, working every day to make it a little bit better for all of us, and happy to be here today with all of you.
Great, thank you so much. And last but way not least, joining us from the real Phoenix is Kathy Droz, who is, speaking of resumes, the founder and CEO of Her Certified, I hope it isn't HER, co-founder of the Women's 360, I think it's network, co-producer and co-host of the radio show, an author of A Woman's Guide to Buying a Car with Street Smarts. Kathy, please say hello.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you again. It's a pleasure to be here. So, and I love the background of all the ladies here today. A little different than Erica and Becky, and maybe a little different than Pamela, but I started out as a child consumer. I went to purchase vehicles with my dad every and they would trade in their vehicles. So every year from age 10 to 17, I went with dad to purchase the family car. So each year I learned something different. So at 17, my father said, go in and buy the car, which I did. And the surprise for the salesperson was not that I was a woman, but that I was so young. I mean, dad had to sign the check, obviously. So that started my venture into it. My brother owned a auto repair facility, and I would hang out there sometimes, 10 years older than me. I had Barbie dolls, and I had all the women working on the cars, all the Barbies, and Kens were just, doing the dishes. So I always had that kind of feminist side to me, so to speak. But if I brought you up with an elevator speech as of today, so I've been in the working world 50 years, and that's kind of scary. I did not go to college, so I don't come out with a degree in anything in particular. So it's all been hard work, I think, to learn. So I would say that my goal is I empower women to negotiate and buy from men, from male-dominated industries. That's what I teach women. And then I go and train dealerships and other male-dominated industries on how to have women buy from you, not how to sell to women, how to have women buy from you. It's based generally on customer experience. That's always been my specialty. And now I've advanced more into teaching in the motorhome industry, in aviation, motor yachts. So some want to be Her Certified, and therefore they need to go through my consulting. They need to go through some other, training. Now, since COVID, people pivot. They've had to pivot or not. I wrote a ebook, how to buy a car in your pajamas. And it's my granddaughter in her red pajamas sitting in front of a computer, from driveway to doorstep. So I try and grow and go where the industry is going. And I've always liked to think that I look ahead. I am not savvy in areas that younger people are, but I learn every day. So I think that's it. And I test drive. I've test driven over 650 vehicles for manufacturers. I've been doing that for almost 20 years. And I put them up on YouTube or social media. Social media is very big with women. And so I think that's kind of it in a nutshell. So I come more from the consumer end, but I want to educate on both areas.
Terrific. Thank you so much. And I have to tell you that if you check out Kathy's posts, they're quite interesting. And Pam, I love watching all your stuff, which I comment to on LinkedIn of recognizing employees, women and men. And let's get started. Ian, first question. And now that we got all these people that know so much more than we do, I think we're in trouble.
Well, as I was researching for the video this morning, which is in the chat, if you're interested and didn't catch it, it's a pretty funny video. I thought it was really funny. There was a lot of different videos on YouTube, specifically around women in performance cars. Some from a mechanic's point of view, some from a strictly car girl's point of view, some from girls versus guys point of view in cars. There's all kinds of different videos. But the question is, how can it become more equitable? Because what I saw, and there's some interesting ones from the UK and elsewhere, was that there was a lot of women who were car fans who, basically found that, people didn't really accept that. That's one of the reasons I picked the video today, was A, it was funny, but B, it was like, well, the perception of women in cars obviously has to change, because there's just as many, probably equal number, I would think, if not more, women that are car fans as men, even though men may understand cars from a young age, being upbringing a little bit more in some cases. How do you think we can make it more of a equitable thing, I guess, is the question. So let's start with Erica.
So I think that is a great question. I think to become more equitable, I would encourage, whether it's men, women, anyone that is more senior than maybe someone who's new to a company or new to the industry, teach them, mentor them. When I entered the industry, it was almost like a game, like that the boys got a chance to, pass around your cards to people and see how many you can collect and this and that. Whereas the girls, it was like, just put your head down and work hard. Okay, well, why aren't the boys getting that same advice? And what I would find is that the boys would get invited to drinks, would get invited to, secret meetings and this and that. And it got to the point where it was like, look, like, I just want to learn. I'm not saying that I know everything. I think I've learned a lot as I grew up, and I observed, and I was always a quiet kid and would always just sit and listen, but they wouldn't take me seriously. And I have a great example actually of a service manager when I first became a service and parts rep. And he was like, I need you to cover this engine. And I was like, well, what happened to it? He's like, it blew up. I was like, what do you mean it blew up? Engines just don't blow up. Like, something must have happened to it. And he was like, no. I was like, is the camera here? Can I take a look at it? And him and the tech both looked at me like, yeah, what are you going to look at? And I was like, let me just go look at it. Unbeknownst to them, I had dated a tech for the last year, and I helped him with his engine quite a bit. And so I come out and I look at this Camry and I go, so the pistons are, shot, this and that. I'm like listing off everything. And both of their faces are just, absolutely flabbergasted. And I was like, first and foremost, one, I'm not stupid. Number two, I can learn, and I can learn a lot. And number three, I would appreciate it if you would also teach me while I'm going to teach you as well. And both of them were like, yes, ma'am. But that's really what it comes down to. You have to be open-minded enough, and you have to be humble enough to say, hey, I might not know everything. I might not have all the answers. But at the end of the day, I'm going to teach you what I have learned. So hopefully it's easier for you in your path. I don't believe in the whole, no, I had it hard, you should have it hard too. So.
Great thoughts. I mean, there's a famous female founder, I think it's Spanx, and she puts this post up all the time. I run like a girl, try to catch up, try to keep up or something like that. Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. Pamela, go ahead.
I think we are on our way, and it could just be that I'm immersed in this culture, in this company where there is no ceiling, there is no like gender when you're looking at resumes and things like that. Like, we have multiple female technicians, and just throughout the whole entire company. And so I think the fact that we're even having this conversation right now is helpful. And also that there are more and more females who are willing to go out and do what they actually are passionate about, even if it is previously a male-dominated industry. And so those females are going to gravitate towards companies like mine that are like, our arms are open, and it'll make, especially in a time where I don't know if it's the same where all of you guys are, but trying to find quality employees, especially technicians right now, is like impossible. And so companies are going to have to get with the times and have that old school way of doing things not be the way that we do it anymore. Otherwise, they're going to get left in the dust, and they won't get this new talent and the greatness that's out there. And companies who are having women be in management roles and throughout the company are going to do better. And so I think that we're well on our way, and I'm happy to be part of conversations like this to think about other ways. Sometimes it isn't so much that you say yes to hiring these people, it's going out and making sure that females know that this is an option for them. And so that's why we go and speak to the Women in Trades program every year. We have them tour the dealerships. We are out in high schools so that people are starting to think, like, at that age, like, maybe this is something that I could do with my life, and make it people aren't educated, I don't think, on what it is to work in a dealership. It's not just selling cars. So being able to educate men and women about the opportunities, and have companies like mine that lead the way in making that equitable is, I think, the path to success.
Thanks for that. Rebecca?
Wow. Well, based on, my experience and growing up in the business, it wasn't necessarily always easy. And some of the guys didn't necessarily make it easy. However, I just got in front of it. I didn't take no for an answer. And that doesn't make it right. But when you go in front of it, no one was going to stop me. And it was test after test. Everyone likes to test you to see how far they can go with you, right? And it was like, after a while, everybody kind of figured out, well, we can't go too far with her because she might actually know what she's talking about. So bingo, Erica. So it was like, hey guys, I get this. And I've probably got a lot more talent than you do. I know how to get in front of that customer. I know how to engage. I'm darn good at what I do, but I'm also good in hearing, opening my eyes, my ears to learning new information. And luckily that there were individuals that I had a chance to meet, dealers that I've had a chance to work with, that gave me an opportunity to grow, that gave me some great education and support. So I got to tell you, I feel during my time in my early career, I've been very thankful of the dealers that gave me opportunity and the opportunity to grow and educate me. But I also took advantage of it. I didn't take no for an answer. No, after the test, everyone kind of realized, man, she knows what she's doing. And I got a lot of support because of it. I just did. It was, here's the test. Let me see what you got. But afterwards, it was if, I had big brothers working with me. I mean, there was a lot of support. In my consulting company, I have worked with so many terrific females that I've groomed from, whether they be in accounting department, whether it be from service, whether it be from sales, and with a proper roadmap, understanding direction. These gals did absolutely outstanding. I mean, their performance was excelled higher than most of the guys. But again, it's all about the right direction. You can't send someone up into a lunchroom to watch videos and say, figure it out. Not everyone responds very positively to that. We need a good roadmap. And females are a talent pool that we have to attract, train, and retain. Give them that roadmap for success. And I'm going to tell you, when we do, you're going to get a greater impact. And I'll also say this too, and maybe I'm a little biased, just a little, but we have less turnover and less drama, frankly, with hiring females. They're very intuitive. They're personable. They take how to take care of the customer. They build better relationships with our lenders and with our customers. And that's the name of the game right now, today more so than ever before. So with that, I don't know who
Thanks for the answer.
came on, but someone came on. So
Kathy, go ahead.
Okay, so I would say that I was fortunate. I started an ad agency and I only catered to auto dealers, and certainly go back 20 years, they were all men. I didn't seem to have a problem because I was confident at that point, and I came to understand how dealers think. My mentor, who sold out to Berkshire Hathaway here in Arizona, so I had a good mentor, said to me, one thing where men and women differ is when you sit in an executive meeting as our ad agency, I ask a question and men give an answer like that. Women go on and on. And he started with me and said, I don't care what color the balloons are on Thursday. Tell me how that's my bottom line and let me. And so I learned very quickly that's what they wanted. My problem in going to a dealer where I've gotten complaints from women. So if you want to become her certified, I need to know that you, Mr. or Miss Dealer, are on board. And I found that so many auto dealers, men, would say to me, I don't have a problem with women. We don't have a problem. And I would say, can I see your CSI scores? They were all horrible from women. Porsche, the manufacturer, asked me to put together the difference. Why, when a man and a woman would go into a Porsche store, buy the same vehicle, pay the same amount of money, have the same salesperson, same time of day, and they both walk out happy. He said, so Kathy, I'll give you a week, please get back to me. I want to know why the man gives a 10 and the woman gives an 8. And I said, you don't have to call me back in a week, I'll tell you now. So when women, it could be as simple, and gosh, Becky, Erica, you all know this. The woman could go over to the coffee station and there's cream spilled. Or she goes in the bathroom and the soap is all over, or there's no toilet paper. When they fill out that survey, they are talking about the fact that you were out of cream, or et cetera. So instead of a 10, they give an 8. And this has been difficult to discuss with the general manager or the person who's going to be finding out how I can improve their CSI for women. And I think to answer your question, mentors are very important. 25 years ago, if a man wanted to mentor a woman, it didn't always mean he really was looking out for her best interest. So there weren't a lot of female mentors at that time. I'd like to think that I am now for women, but I have never had a problem with men in authority, because I come across, I definitely know what I'm talking about. I may not be the same way at home. I could be a real goofball at home and playing with the grandkids, but I definitely know it's all about business, and I understand, and I want to solve their problem. So it's funny, right, Becky? I'm trying to help the female consumer, but at the same time, how can I help them if I can't help the dealerships? So my goal has always been to make it a better world for both. And I love the auto industry. I would have jumped out of it at COVID. So I think it's confidence, mentoring, having open-minded dealers that say, yes, we know that not only are women very good in sales, F&I, service, but they're also our prime customer. And that's how I feel about it.
Thanks. Jeff.
Well, you know, it's very interesting that you say that because frankly, as I already said earlier, some of the most successful salespeople in a lot of years were always women. And the fact is that if a man looks at another man and says, "No, I'm done," the other man goes, "Yeah, well, let me tell you something." You know, they view it as a challenge. If a woman does, they actually respect it more. And maybe it's because we're taught from a very young age that the person that really has the control is the lady of the house. But nevertheless, I don't want to go there. So this whole idea about women in the automotive industry, performance, and anything to do with a man's former place, this whole topic isn't just a way to break down gender walls, or is it really something greater? Is it something, you know, a greater meaning to enthusiastic women other than, I'm going to show men? And we're going to throw that back on Pam right now, because I see her like listening intently. What do you think?
Not sure that I totally understand the question, but from my perspective, it isn't at all for me about, you know, showing the men in the industry, you know, what I can do or what we can do. It just is about coming to work every day and being the best you can be and showing everybody in the whole dealership, in the whole, I don't know, that's just the way that I am. If I'm a part of something, I give it 110%. And it doesn't matter who I'm working with. But I think, as the other ladies have said, when you are confident and you are also willing to learn and be vulnerable and be a part of the team, I think that makes it easier for some of the men in the industry to not feel so threatened or I don't know, whatever. Lots of these guys have grown up in the industry too, where it was a lot of times only men, and so now they're learning how to work in an industry that looks different than it used to. And so I think that we can create great relationships between the men and ladies in the dealerships and in the community and make it better for everybody.
Excellent, thank you so much. Let's see who's been waiting to say. Becky, what do you think? Is this whole topic just, and I'll try to clarify because sometimes I just talk in circles, but is this topic about breaking down gender walls or just saying, you know what, I am a confident, successful automotive professional, period?
I think so. I mean, for me anyway, that's where it's at. I mean, competent, give me a shot, give me a great opportunity and let me go ahead and take advantage of it. And if I don't take advantage of it, shame on me. And nothing's ever going to be, you know, bed of roses. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. And so I just don't want to come across like, oh, because you're a female, oh my gosh, we're just going to go ahead and give you the red carpet. No, that's not what we're talking about here at all. Everybody has to come in with the same ambition and drive, determination, and make things happen. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, my dad brought me up a little bit different. You know, I've always had, I think, Kathy, you and I could have pretty much relate to this, but I had to work for everything. And Erica as well, right? Pamela. I mean, my dad, it was like, although he had plenty to offer, he gave me a great education, but it was never anything else I wanted, I worked for. So I have that mentality. And I go into a store, man, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, you know, just give me the opportunity, but give me the opportunity. That's all. I think that's all what we're really asking for. We have the talent here. We've got the determination and passion and drive. Let's just don't take advantage of it and give us the opportunity, give us the roadmap that we can really make a greater impact on. And that's just not just, you know, again, female so much, male as well as, and Pamela has mentioned that as well. So important. Why aren't we giving, you know, people in general, talent in general, a way to go? How do you attract the best? What do you have available? What's my roadmap? How do I get promoted from sales to another position? Where's the growth? What are my, you know, what is the expectation? And let me just say this, everybody wants to work with another professional. And that's how we have, and that's how you drive performance. Thank you. That's my 2 cents.
Hey guys, could I jump in?
Hello, Larry.
Hey, Larry. What do you think?
Gentlemen, ladies, Becky, how are you?
No, no,
Hey, Larry.
ladies,
Oh,
it's
Larry,
ladies
yes.
and the two guys.
Couple comments. I owned a store in Trent, New Jersey, and my top salesperson was a lady, and by far my best service advisor was a lady. Now I'm on the train. I have a recruiting company, and I send guys out all over the country to mystery shop to say they're looking for a car for their sister. They just had a baby. Of course, they get blown off. A lot of them come back and say, Larry, I went with my boyfriend, my husband, my brother, and they kept talking to my brother or my husband or my boyfriend and ignoring me. Even after these dopes said the cars, she would say the car's for me, and the guy would even say it. I say it all the time. Bruce Springsteen is a liar. He says he's the boss. He ain't the boss. It's Mrs. Springsteen. Women listen better. They build rapport better. They work harder. Could you imagine, ladies, if men had to have babies, the human race would have ended a long time ago. It'd be dinosaurs. To me, no disrespect, the whole conversation is moot. Women are better than men. They listen better. They build rapport better. And if guys feel threatened, Becky, that's on them. To hell with them. My father, I always quoted, my father had it right. God bless those who wish me well. All the rest can go to hell. You can't waste time. I'm glad all you ladies are on. Maybe you can straighten out Ian and Jeff. They've been a little lackluster lately.
Oh my God. I have to address the elephant in the room. Hello, elephant. We, of course, our whole thing about our show is allowing our guests to take the front stage and to be the highlight. And we only let Larry join in for the comedic relief. No, I'm just kidding. We love
Jeff, maybe that brings up a point. When we first did our first Women in Auto show, and this has been over 2 years ago, I remember putting together that show, and everyone said, it's a bad idea. Don't do this. It's a bad idea. You shouldn't do it. And the thing that was funny about it now looking back is not only are they some of our most popular shows, some of the most entertaining shows, because of the dynamicness, I guess, new word I quoted, of the guests. And the thing that was funny was it was surprising how much like don't do it we got. It just surprised me. But go ahead, Jen.
Well, yeah, you know what? There is that there's that lobby of people and men and women that just say no, you shouldn't be addressing this. And I've had some people saying, why am I talking about this again? Well, and none of you ladies, I'm talking people I reached out to too. But, the thing is it is a topic. It is a fact. And, truly, as we've already said, a professional female in a male-dominated role is vastly more powerful than any man is. And it's got nothing to do with your mother or anything else. It's just got to do with the fact that a woman will focus on what's being done and will deal with the matter at hand. And, whereas frankly, men will drift off to something else. I call it squirrel. But Kathy, I'm gonna adapt the question I'd asked everybody else. Because you are HER certified, that's your brand. Why is it, do you think, that a dealer places an ad somewhere looking for staff, not support staff, not reception, not traditional female roles in a car dealership? Why is it they're not getting more female responses to this? How can they do this better?
In my humble opinion, I believe that the ads are not written properly that would entice a female to make them feel that this is the right business for them. And I've also found, and please, Pamela, understand, I know you're with a large automotive group, but I am finding more and more automotive dealerships, and I don't know, Larry, if this involves you, are being picked up by large automotive groups. So you're single, I see that with Berkshire Hathaway here, I see that with AutoNation. Decisions are being made at a corporate level that sometimes doesn't have necessarily a grasp on the real world. And I find that when someone from Berkshire Hathaway, and here's a good example, I think. During COVID, I received phone calls from 3 separate women, said, I will never buy, and I won't name them, I will not buy from that Toyota dealership. And I'm like, okay, calm down. What was the issue? The issue is I walked in there, no one was wearing a mask. And this was probably in April or May. And I said, well, did you say anything? Did you go up to the receptionist and say anything? No, I just will never buy. I told all my friends. That's women. A man has a bad experience. Oh, well. Woman has one. She tells 9 women. Before you know it, you've got the whole thing going. So I called the dealership because they're her certified. So already I'm thinking it reflects on me. And he said, oh, I didn't know that was a problem. No one has said anything. So he said, okay, I'm going to order masks tonight, Kathy. And I'm going to have, and I said, good, put your name on the mask so you have a walking marketing brand, etc. Why didn't why didn't someone in corporate mention it to their people? So I find that having all of this large dealership, they really don't know what's going on. And I did want to bring back to you, especially Larry, when you asked that other question, I have found in training now, it's a much younger generation of sales staff. Becky, I don't know if you see that too, etc. They're more open to women being their equals than the older generation, than my generation, where you had to say to them, I know what I'm talking about, yada, yada. Now it's, I will be training, and I see the young folks are fantastic. I'll say to them, hey, shut your phone off unless you're, expecting a baby, your mom needs you to food shop. You have to entertain this younger generation with social media. But they're more open to working with women as a team, I find, than someone your age, Ian.
Hey, Kathy.
That's funny. Are you paying attention? Yes.
Translation
I couldn't agree with you more. The magic word you said is corporate. To me, corporate, I think they go to corporate stupidity school and they all graduate summa cum laude. The insanity that I run into all over the country, because it's like, ladies, this is a perfect story for ladies. Ian and Jeff, I won't get in trouble here. I was dating a female engineer, and I said to her one day, and she was extremely bright, but at this point, I didn't know any female engineers except her. And I said, tell me, what's it really like? She says, Larry, I sit in a room with a bunch of guys, and they say things like, well, that's fine in practical application, but will it work in theory? That's how corporations think. They tie themselves up in knots. There's layer upon layer of nonsense and silliness, and that's the result you get. I mean, women influence 80% of the decisions. They purchase 60% or more of the vehicles. Again, they're the boss. So to not understand that, to not embrace that, if you're a customer cannot understand that, how about if you're building a sales team? If there are 80% influencers and 60% purchasers, wouldn't you want as many women as possible? But when you get to the corporate end, Kathy, I've had this, just so you all know, I have a prior relationship with Becky, who's terrific. I've been on her podcast, we're friends. We discuss this all the time, on and off the air. You run into these brick walls of corporation, and it's just ridiculous. It really is. I don't think anybody would disagree, right?
Nope.
It's very funny too, though, you bring that up too, Kathy, about corporations. I've come across numerous groups, north of the border, south of the border, and there's edicts from the top. This is how we do deals. We greet a customer and we say, welcome to XYZ Motor. Then we follow our process. Then we do this, then we do that, then we do that. And then they say the things they say to you, and it doesn't matter what topic, mass or otherwise. I didn't know that. The same people that want to control everything are so reactive, it's crazy. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, if that's adjustment, I do agree. But I also feel that what's so interesting is when my training for her certified is really customer focused, and Becky definitely knows this. It's so customer focused that I use examples of the #1 companies that know how to treat in the retail industry, such as Amazon, Starbucks. I mean, on my board of advisors, former vice president of Starbucks, I have the former vice president of General Motors. There are people, advisory board, not board of directors. I can't afford a board of directors. That's for sure. So I get all of this information, and then I realize that when I am doing this training or educating, whatever you want to say, is I'm going almost against those things you just said, Larry, the points that they go through. You know, you greet the customer. I say, women, I tell you what women don't like. I've done all this research. They don't like you standing outside waiting for the next customer, because women say they pounce on you. They're intimidated. This is why Carvana, Vroom have done so well, especially with the pandemic. And here's the statistic, Larry, you used 80 and 60. With the pandemic, women influence 90% now, and 65 to 70%, that they purchase. It's because research shows that we have been buying on Amazon and the internet for so long. We navigate better. We're happy to do our research online. We're not afraid to buy a car because we're not as, we don't want the confrontation or the negotiation process. And this has kicked traditional auto dealers in the butt, which is why I started the, online. They can do the same thing Vroom's doing and everyone else. So I just find it to be, it's frustrating. I want to go out there and help everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, Kathy, two things. One, I will gladly be on your honorary board of directors. And two, don't say but. Ian and Jeff are from Canada. They're very easily offended.
We're sorry.
Wait,
That's a
but
Canadian joke.
Larry, I'm from New York, so I'm having so much fun listening to you talk and have coffee. I'm loving it.
No, I'm actually from Australia. I'm using this fake accent to pick up American women. Apparently, it's going well.
No way.
Yeah, I won't go there. Very interesting. You talk about the younger generation is more open to it, because frankly, the younger generation are leading this identity neutral type of flow of things, and hopefully that will change. I mean, I have a 25-year-old daughter, and heaven forbid that I should refer to somebody that is outwardly non-binary as he, her, she, whatever. And I agree with you, and then I think it's going somewhere. We've left Erica out of this entire part of this conversation. So I'm going to refer to her because, boy, oh boy, does she have, there's no question, she's got dealership background, she's got corporate backgrounds, etc. So I'm going to go back to the original thing. Is this thing of just breaking down gender walls, or are you taking over, but maybe you should? What do you think?
So I will use this example that in my past, when I first started my career, I would always say, I can't wait to be the first female CEO of a major auto manufacturer. That was my dream.
Damn that Mary Barra.
But you know what? I was like, damn it. But at the same time, I was so happy. I was so happy to see a female finally get into one of those positions. So even though internally I was like, oh, I wanted to be the first, I was so happy. Now, every single time I would say that until Mary actually took over, because keep in mind, I entered in 2010, she took her position in 2014. I would always get either stay in your lane because XYZ, or yeah, that's a nice pipe dream, but it's probably not going to happen. And I guarantee if I had had one of my male counterparts who also started with me, who said the exact same thing, they would have then gone, great, let me tell you exactly what I need you to do in order to get there. It was not the same. So it's not, oh, I want to be included. It's about equity. Are you going to give me the right type of podium or right type of step up for me to actually be able to get there? And are you going to take me seriously and respect me? And let me just say, stay in your lane is probably one of my most hated phrases in business, because it basically says, I don't respect you and I'm not going to teach you anything that I know. And one of my really good friends, keep in mind, this is now 13, almost 14 years ago now. One of my very good friends had that happen last week, and steam coming out of my ears, because I was like, this is I went off because I was so angry that in this day and age, this brilliant woman who is rocking at what she does, and she works at a dealership, being told that in today's time and day. And that's the type of stuff that I know I'm actively trying to work on, because it's not just women in general, it's women of color. Black women only have about 6% of manager roles across all of automotive. It doesn't mean just OEM, performance, et cetera. And then when you look at Asian and Latina women, it's even less. And that's the thing that, because like I'm Italian and Portuguese, you would have never found a Portuguese woman in any type of leadership position ever. And God forbid I spoke Portuguese, they would have been like, oh, I don't know about that years ago. And so that's the type of stuff that when I'm with my best friend who's Venezuelan and she goes, Erica, I don't see people like me buying cars like that, aka one of the companies I was formerly at, that's because they're not speaking to them. And that's one thing that for me, like being at Constellation now, we really pride ourselves. We're minority owned. Our co-founder is Diana Lee, who is brilliant. And she said, hey, I really think there is a opportunity for multicultural marketing. So, marketing to someone's native language. And I've been having a lot of conversations with dealers being like, especially even hiring right now, are you marketing to someone's native language? Like, what do your demographics look like? Because just because someone speaks Cantonese doesn't mean they can't do the job. Or someone speaks Spanish doesn't mean they can't do the job. And would you not hire them because of it? Oh, no, of course I wouldn't. Then why are you excluding them? Because at the end of the day, we need their skill sets. And it's a situation where, Kathy, I love that you brought it up about dealerships and especially the big groups, because being a kid who grew up in a mom and pop dealership, that's, whether it's the US, Canada, it doesn't matter where in the world, dealers were always so connected to their community and knew what their community was like and could advocate for the community and would sponsor baseball teams and things of that nature. And if you're not doing that, whether you're, even a part of a group or whatever, you're really missing out. And I think it's something that if I were a dealer in today's day and time, I would be plastering everywhere what I do for my community, what my team looks like, and the diversity of my team. But not only that I empower my team to make the decisions that are going to keep me in business for a very long time. So I don't think it's a men versus women thing. I think it's an entire community and being able to include people that maybe historically have never been included and really were never going to be included. That's the other part of it. Take down everything that you've learned and say, hey, is this what I truly believe? And if it is, okay, then I guess rock with it. But at the end of the day, maybe it's not always right, and be open to learning new things. So
100%.
That's kind of my take on it.
I mean, there's actually
a comment before Ian takes over. So really the person who had the best idea possible was Chopper back in Vegas in the late 90s. He had the Blue Genie, and the Blue Genie is the one that should be selling to everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's interesting. There's first of all, we happen to live in a city that's very multicultural, as is Canada in general. But I worked at a dealership for years that 60 to 70% of the customers were of Asian descent of one type or another, and we had a vast majority of languages being spoken. But I agree with you that when you look at the marketing piece, there's actually a dealer in Washington State. The dealer comes on and he talks about, listen, I'll do what it takes to make the customer happy. But I think what he's missing there is, not really talking about the community. He's talking about customers in general. And, I think that's where the mistake happens is I think every place, no matter where it is in the world, is becoming more multicultural. You need staff that speaks those languages, but more importantly, you need to promote it instead of an About Us page where it's nothing. Or maybe a couple pictures. Yeah. It's
That's
really
one
about
of my
this.
biggest pet peeves is the About Us where it has nothing and no
Yeah,
pictures and no nothing. Because I'm like, people want to do business with people that they like, and people want to do business with people that they identify with. Yeah. And if I don't feel that, I'm not giving you my business. Yeah, plain and simple.
Yeah.
And it's very funny. I have to comment that all we have to do is think back a little bit. I joined a Ford store back, I don't want to admit when, but in the late 90s. And actually earlier than that, but it shocked the heck out of me because the truck salespeople, guys, were all wearing jeans and boots. And the fact is, all the dealer has to do, all anybody has to do is say, okay, who's my customer? And at that time, trucks were guys from a suburban or rural background. So they catered to them. Sorry, Ian.
Yeah. And since it's the time, we have one final question. Words of wisdom for our audience. So let's start with Kathy.
Words of wisdom for the audience. Let's not put people in a category per se, but I think my final is that I think we need in the school system to start letting women, girls know. Gen Z is my focus right now, so I have my granddaughters doing reviews with me so that they learn to either love it or hate it. It doesn't matter. But that is the next generation because everything I believe is going to be ordered online. But I want to say that I like men, okay, just so you know, so that's not an issue here. And if they have a New Jersey accent, all the better, Larry.
Kathy, I will be on the dating app soon. Let's just get to business now.
Wait a minute. Let me tell you something here. You know, you folks has got us come along a little bit better than that.
You know, making fun of people from the East Coast, it doesn't really reflect equity. Erica, you and I will talk about the show.
I was just gonna say, I mean, my grandmother's from Boston, so I mean, like, if I was talking about the Red Sox right now, it would all be out there. So let me just tell you.
Go ahead, Erica. Thoughts?
When you're mad.
Go ahead. Words of wisdom, Erica.
I would mainly say, don't stop being yourself. You know, the minute you find your voice is the minute you find your power. And there's going to be people who want to silence you, who want you to not push the boundaries, but learn. There's nothing wrong with saying, I want to learn, I want to advance myself, and I want to become something. And you'll find your people along your path. And if you're not finding your people, find a different path. That's what I've done. And it's been one of the best things I've ever done.
Thanks for that. Pamela?
Two quick comments. First is that I think I was on that first Women in Automotive call when COVID started, and I'm still very connected with the other three ladies who were on that call, and so I'm grateful to have been a part of that. But my words of wisdom is like for individuals, but also for companies and dealers, don't do things the way you've always done them because that's the way you've always done them. Like, look around and be a bit more forward thinking and change things up. Take some new people under your wing and let the new perspectives be part of the way that your company goes forward. That's what we try to do every single day. How can we make this better for our employees and our customers? And yeah, that's all for me.
Fantastic. Becky, go ahead.
All so great. Feedback here, excellent feedback. And again, I think Kathy's absolutely correct when she's talking about the Gen Z. What are we doing there? And how do we do a better job in communicating to that Gen Z? And what is that culture all about? And are we driving that? That the idea of bringing in that individual who wants to learn. They do want to learn. They see the advantage of a career in the automotive industry, but they're all in. Are we all in? Does the culture speak to that behavior and giving them everything that they need to grow and to make a greater impact? And that's what we need. And saying something and doing something are so two different things. Pamela points out, and she couldn't be. I mean, she nailed it. Absolutely nails it. So yeah, we need that other generation, and we need to bring that talent in, and we need to support it at all costs and just be there 100% of the time. So that's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm seeing in the industry. And it's called education. You know, one of the things that I adore about Canada, and I've also trained in Canada, I've had workshops facilitated in Canada. I love you guys, man. You guys really appreciate, I'm just telling you the truth. You guys really appreciate education. I mean, I facilitate a workshop, and these people are showing up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, are you kidding me? They're like, I can't wait to get started. I would like to see some of that as well here in the States. And we need to drive education training. So everyone's been talking lately where dealers are making more profit than ever before. I mean, they are. I mean, at historical levels. So does this mean we're not training anymore? Does this mean that we just give up everything that we've done over the last, 20 years and decide, well, we'll just wait it out because you know what? Everybody's doing really good and we're making more profit than we've ever made before. No, that is not the time to stop dead in your tracks. Now's the time to really dig our heels in, Kathy, and make a greater impact and put these processes in place to support that skill set. So at the end of the day, when this stuff, I don't know what's going to happen, how it normalizes, what normal is. And Ian and I have had this conversation, I don't know, and Larry as well. I don't know what that is. But here I do know is if we don't have a plan, a roadmap, if we're not training up, where are we going to be in 6 to 8 months to a year from now? We got to pull in the reins now and do our people and by not doing training, we're doing our people an injustice. And so this is one of the reasons why everybody's probably thinking, what is Becky up to with this F&I basic stuff? I could train all kinds of things, right? I've been in the industry forever long in a day. And I likely do. But the thing is that F&I basics is so important. Where is that all going? And the F&I fundamentals, where is that all going? So it's education, training up, culture, and supporting our people.
100%.
And giving them a plan. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Jeff, any final thoughts?
Well, I got to tell you something. It's a very informative show. And the beauty about touching on this topic is it doesn't just stay on topic. If we had a show about ups and it was mostly men, we'd be talking about ups. We'd be making jokes. We'd be talking about ups. Well, here we started as the Motor Momma show. And it came out that we're talking about all sorts of stuff from women to ethnic backgrounds to everything else. There's 2 takes that I took out of this show. Very important. One, there's a reckoning day coming. And it's not just to do with, like Becky just said, about dealers making huge profits and the fact that one day, all of a sudden, they're going to start going, oh my God, what hit me? Because they're still doing things the way they did when somebody called up and said, hey, do you have a Micra in stock? I do. Great, I'll take it. It's going to have to be, why would I buy a Micra? You don't have Nissan anymore, do you, Pat? Yeah. Well, you have Nissan, okay. So why would I buy a Micra when I get a Yaris is a better car, blah, 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 and you got to give them away and goes a $3,000 gross on an entry-level car. The other reckoning is going to be the fact that you're dealing with people that don't care if you're man or woman, your background, whatever. They care that they can understand you. May that come in a different language, but in a language you can understand. And frankly, even if it's in English, we've always talked about language, body language, the actual what you say. Like the young lady in the video before said, can I help you? Well, I got to tell you something. I mentioned earlier about Jackie B. Cooper, who said, you can't say, can I help you? But ladies, thank you so much. I really enjoyed everything I had to say. And I was glued to every word except when Ian was sending me bad texts. So thank you very much. Ian?
Thanks very much. Have a great show. Have a great week and appreciate the thoughts. And thanks for taking the time. And thanks, Larry. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Hey, tune in next week where we're going to be
Talking about HR.
From Edmonton, Alberta. And Larry will be on too.
All righty. Ciao.
Bye-bye.